Hi, welcome back to the completion nearly of the plane project. I have all the parts made that we're given designs for. So basically what has to be done today is we have to assemble the plane and then look at designing the undercarriage to attach the two wheels, which we did in the last video too. So I have all of my parts, I have the appropriate screws, I have 8 M3x8 screws, 2 M3x16 and 1 M3x10. The M3x10 is to attach the wheel at the end. The M3x16s are to attach these wheels. I have regular nuts for most of the screws for the M3x8s, and I have lock nuts then for the wheels, because you want them to spin but you want them to be on pretty securely at the same time, and if you use ordinary nuts they'll just come loose over time. I'm not going to clean the pieces up yet. I want to put it all together, design the undercarriage for the wheels, and once I've that done and made, then I'll go and clean everything up and do a final assembly with electronics and everything. So I'm not going to bore you by putting this together in normal time. I'll fast forward this whole section, but you should get an idea, and you'll have to excuse my clumsy big fingers doing this. Right, so that's the plane loosely put apart. As you can see, I haven't tightened it up, so parts are wobbly, but it gives me an idea of what I need to do. When I'm putting this together final time, I will definitely tighten everything up properly. I'll also put in the battery holder, which is that piece, that goes inside down here, and we pop rivet that on. I didn't want to do that now, so it'll fit in there. I didn't want to do that now because I want to clean all the pieces properly first, so that pop riveting is kind of permanent, even though it can be undone. So basically, we have our plane here and we need to put the wheels down here somewhere. So, okay, so now that we have the plane put together, we need to design the bracket or chassis here that will join the wheels onto the base, like so. A very simple design I came up with very, very quickly was to have a piece like this, so flat across the top and then straight down like that. 2 holes here on the top to join onto these 2 holes, and then 2 holes on the side bit to join the wheels. It's a simple piece, it works. You could go for more fancy designs. If we were looking at something straight in, we could go from something like this. That would work as well, where the wheels are attached on here, and 2 screws up here to attach onto the base. But I think that's just adding in more bends than are necessary, although it would work. So I'm going to stick with this design here. Because we've so many curves on the wings, we've curves here, it's basically curves. I'm going to change the end here now to make it look nicer, and we'll have curves on that as well. So now it's basically to work out dimensions. The distance between here and here we can get from our plane, because we're going to use these two screws to attach on. So if I measure the distance between those two holes, we find out it's 50 millimeters. Then the distance between here before the bend occurs. So I don't want it out too wide. 30 millimeters seems maybe a bit far. So we'll say a 20. Yeah, 20 looks like a decent enough number. So if we say that this section is 20 and 20 here. Now the height, so we're concerned now about the distance that goes down this way to the center of the wheel. We have to be at least bigger than this. And the diameter was 35 millimeters, so the radius is 17.5. I think maybe 30 millimeters if we had the wheel there. And that's where the bend occurred. I think that might give us just a slight bit of a ramp up there. Yeah, so we'll go with 30 for here. And then the last bit depends on the thickness of the material, as in this direction. Looking at our plane, we have these guys are 10 millimeters wide, and they're going to line up underneath. So I think stay with 10 in width. Seems to make sense to me. So that means this last bit is going to be a radius of 5, so we call that 5 there. So I think that's pretty much it. The thickness of the material, the rest of the plane is made out of 1 millimeter aluminium, but when you do a lot of sharp bends, and I think 1.5 is just that bit stronger, and this might have a bit of weight and there might be pressure down on it when people are playing with it and stuff like that, so I'll go for 1.5. So 1.5 thick. Now we need to work out the length and the shape. So we're going to have a piece like this. We're going to round the ends, have a hole here, here, here and here. Bend sections there. So from bend to bend we know is 50 plus 40, which is 90, and then 35 to the end. So that's 70 plus 90 is 160 in total. So 160 in total multiplied by 10. It's not multiplied by that, sorry. By 10 this direction, and by 1.5 thick. Okay? So I'm going to go and get a piece of material that size and mark it out. Right, so I found a scrap piece in the box beyond, and it's 180 long. That's longer than we need, and it's also wider than we need as well. It's 25 millimeters odd, and that's fine. We don't mind it being too big. So just to mark this out now. So this first section here is 5 millimeters from the end. I'm actually going to measure in 6, and you might see why later on. So I'm just going to mark in 6 millimeters there. And from that we want to go 30 up to the first bend. I'm just going to use 10, goes to 40, and then it's, what are we saying, 20, 50 and 20. So I'm just going to mark 40, 40 plus 50 is 90, plus 20 is 110, and then again we're going 30 more from that. So you don't need to worry about the last 5 because the curve will take care of that. So I'm just going to T-square those up. This is a bend line, so I'm actually just going to dash this so it stands out later on. And these are where the holes are going. Bend line again, and that's the final one there. Now, so now we need to get our height. So we know that the centers will be 5 up this line here. Mark that as accurately as I can. And I'm going to do it on the last one as well, and then draw a line through for all of them. So I need it there, 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 and there. And I'm not going to draw the other line. I'll do that in a minute when I have the curves done. So I'm just going to punch where I'm going to be drilling and drawing curves. And now these are tricky little curves, so I want to make sure the point is as accurate as possible. That should be okay. Oops. Oh, well, I'm not going to be using this. The plastic bit has just broken, so I need the dividers. 1 second. So I just grabbed the dividers there quickly. I'm going to set this dividers to 5 millimeters. These are tricky little small circles, unfortunately. So that's one end done there. And now maybe you can see why I came in 6 millimeters at the start. So I didn't have any problem with the edge of the circle coming over the edge here. That's the only reason I went in 6, to give myself a little bit of room here. Now I'm going to draw a line between the top of those two semicircles to give me the opposite side of piece. And there we go. Pretty much marked out, so I'm going to drill that now and then cut it out, file it to shape and bend it. I'll do all that in high speed. I think you're pretty familiar with doing those processes now at this stage. Okay, so that's the piece done. Now it's just to attach things together. So for ease of use, I'm actually going to attach the wheels on first. I think that might be the best way to go because they're lock nuts, and lock nuts are always just that little bit difficult to put on. And if I'd been thinking ahead properly here, I would already have a screwdriver, so please bear with me 1 minute while I get one. So I got a screwdriver and the pliers to hold the screw, or the nut, lock nut. They can be kind of awkward to put on. So I want to tighten this up. So that's tight now, that can't turn. I'm just going to loosen it a little bit until, a little bit more, until the wheel rotates pretty freely. That's reasonable enough spin there. Loosen a bit. It's grand for now anyway, that's the main thing. This isn't the final. This isn't the final assembly. That's okay. And now to put the wheels on the bottom of the plane. So I have to take off these nuts first of all. And hopefully the whole plane doesn't fall apart because it is not together tightly. Okay, fits on perfectly because we got our dimensions accurate. Put on one nut first. And again, sorry about my fingers being in the way, but this is kind of small. And the second one then. Come on. I'd get these on first time if I wasn't shooting a video. So that's pretty much it. All of the parts of the plane are made. And our plane sits quite nicely there. I may have gone a little bit too high. So if we look at the plane slightly at a more level angle. So when it's sitting quite up. See if we can zoom out and get a better look at that from a more reasonable angle. Okay, so you can kind of see it's quite up, so maybe a smaller angle would have been better. Right, so that's basically it. All we have to do now is tidy up all of the pieces and do the electronics, put in the motor and the switch and the battery holder. So what I'll do over the next couple of days is I'll tidy up all these pieces. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to paint them or not. Probably, I think it might look nice. And I'll come back and show a final putting the electronics in and a final assembly in the final video. Okay, again, thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.